Alright guys, this is kind of where we left off with your 1-point perspective drawing. I have my trees, I have my sidewalk. You may have done, instead of a sidewalk, you did a fence, and we added some telephone poles. Okay, now we want to do a little bit more work because now we have some depth going on and things are getting smaller as they go closer to the vanishing point, but we want to make it look even more like there's more depth and a background to it. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is we're going to go ahead and darken up that horizon line, okay? Now I told you to do it lightly. The reason why is because certain things are overlapping the horizon line. Okay, that horizon line is the line that separates the land from the sky. So this is where we're going to use our ruler. I'm going to line it up with the fold of my paper and the vanishing point. And then where we have the trees and the poles. Okay, the trees and the poles are not made out of glass, so this is where you're going to have to be careful and be mindful. I'm going to go, as I get to the tree, I stop in between the trees. And then on the other side, I'm going to stop when I get to the telephone pole. Go to the next telephone pole and stop. And the end of my paper. Okay, so now it really helps to ground things when you add a horizon line. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add some hills and a mountain in the behind the trees, okay, and the telephone poles. So this is how we're going to add our mountain here. I'm going to follow kind of this diagonal line, which we call the orthogonal line. We're going to go ahead and create a hill or the beginning of a mountain that kind of goes behind there. Okay, I don't want a mountain that follows this line. Our eyes will feel like it's awkward. I mean, even though we know that orthogonal line is there, it's really a guideline. If we put our mountain or hill below the top of the tree, it's going to make more sense visually. Okay, so this is one I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm just going to go ahead and have it coming into the picture. And this is one of those things, it doesn't have to be a perfect diagonal line. It could be a little bit bumpy. And then when I get to this vanishing point, it stops. Okay. Alright, the next thing is I'm going to create a mountain. It makes it more visually interesting if the mountain is off center, okay? Because right now we have this really strong push into the horizon line because you're following this road, whether it's a dirt road or you've added lines right here to show that it's the lines of the center of the road. So it makes more sense because your eye's going this way. We want to carry our eye over to the other side and kind of back around. So here's where I'm going to go ahead and add a mountain. And I'm going to make it pretty big, okay? Because we know mountains are really large, so we kind of expect this to be bigger, okay? This is where I'm going to go ahead, if you want to use your ruler to help you out with this, I'm going to have my mountain go from this mountain up, and then that's one side of the mountain. So if you want to use your ruler, you can do that. Or you can freehand it. And then I'm going to have it the other side, and it has to go behind the telephone poles because these telephone poles, like we said, are not made out of glass. Okay, so it looks kind of like it's just a triangle sitting here, and this is how we're going to give it a little bit more character. I'm going to follow that line. Don't want it perfectly straight because mountains tend to have a little bit irregular line, and this is where I'm gonna have it go off a little bit. Doesn't have to follow my line exactly. Okay, and if I really want to push it, I might even throw on a little mountain behind here. Okay, so that creates more depth. Okay, I'm not saying you have to add that, but you can. So we want to make it look like it's kind of snowing, so I'm going to go ahead and add some pencil lines. I'm doing this in Sharpie marker just so you guys can see that maybe there's some snow. Alright, next thing, we want to show what the weather is like. Okay, so you could do things like add clouds, add a sun. You don't necessarily have to add a sun because we can always think about the sun could be higher up. You could add clouds, so clouds could be a nice detail to show that it's a cloudy day. So I'm going to add some kind of a rough little line showing that there's a cloud. And that cloud is behind the telephone pole, so adding more depth. Here's another spot here, and here could be a really big what they call a cumulus cloud. Right there. Okay. Alright, so now I have gone in and I've really added all the pencil that I want as far as objects that are in my landscape, okay? Alright, so the next thing you're going to do is, I've kind of already done this because I wanted you guys to be able to see it, so I traced over everything with the Sharpie marker, except these orthogonal lines in the sky. So what I want you to do now is you're going to use your Sharpie marker, and you're just going to neatly trace over your pencil lines, but do not trace over these orthogonal lines, okay? The thing is, it ruins the whole one-point perspective, because once you start adding these lines, our eyes know that those guidelines are there. I mean, visually in our head, even though you didn't know this before, your brain's already doing this. It's calculating that there's some kind of diagonal line. It just kind of connects these objects in space, okay? But you don't have to see the line, because that's an imaginary line that we know our brains are aware of, okay? So once you're done tracing over everything, except for those two diagonals in the sky, you're finished tracing, go ahead and erase neatly those orthogonal lines, and any extra pencil lines you made, erase those away. And look at there. You have your landscape. And now, and what some of the other students did, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Some of you guys mentioned, well, you know, Miss Miller, I really want to add a barn or a wheat field, or I want to add a baseball diamond. You can do that. Good spot right there is behind the telephone poles. You could add other things behind it in the distance, okay? So you can draw those in. All right. So once you're done with this, the next thing is you can go ahead and start adding color. Boys and girls, let's talk about color. You're going to use your color pencils to start adding colors after you're completely done erasing. Okay, so I've got some color pencils here. You're going to share a basket of color pencils at your table. Okay, so let's talk about adding color. Let's just start with the trees. I mean, I'm just showing you guys this. You are going to need to color the whole entire thing, okay? I'm just picking out some green, a brown, and for the trunk, green for the leaves, and then I have my black. So we are going to pretend that my light source, like the sun is way up high, and that light is coming in this direction across, okay? Alright, so that means because there's an object here, wherever the light can't get to, it is going to create a shadow. Just like when you guys watch that video, our eyes are able to see shadows. We just kind of apply shadows to certain things to kind of understand how it works in our environment. Okay, so here, I'm just going to do that tree first. Okay?